welcome back to the Janay Experience. I'm Janay, and I'm excited to be here with you guys today. And I hate that, you know, the things that I have to talk about aren't exactly happy-go-lucky things, but they will be some happy-go-lucky things because I'm getting over my whole little camera, you know, fear. I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. This is what, you know, my third video by myself. So today I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this girl that everybody seemed to have an issue with. This girl that, you know, is just like made bad decisions. That's not exactly somebody that you would want your daughter to imitate, or, you know what I'm saying, just a person that just was lost in their life and they just made poor decisions that just, you know, this wasn't good decisions. And it's like, as you grow up or whatever and you look around and you know, decide on what type of woman you want to be, this young girl, this young lady, it's just one of those examples that you'll tell your daughter, like, no, this is not life. This is not what you should do. This is not, you know, what I would want for my child. And so, you know, a lot of you guys have heard about her, but you guys haven't really met her, you know? So I'm going to try my best in a matter of a couple of minutes is to introduce you properly to her. And so therefore you guys will have a better understanding of, you know, what type of person she is in a whole, who she was, and what she's doing now. Okay, so let me introduce to you Janay. That's D-E-J-E-A-N-I-N-E. Janay. So here we go. Let's start with the bad and work our way up to the good. All right, so first things first. Yes. I have a record. Yep, I was a bad girl. Thugging out here in these streets. I'm just playing. Yeah, I have a record. And I'm not proud of it. It's not one of my highlights of my life. But if I had to do it again, I would definitely go about it a different way. One of the things, the first things that I actually had a situation was when I was 19 or 20 in Detroit. And when I was living in Detroit, I had this theory that as long as I had food benefits, daycare, and insurance for the kids, I can make it happen. And so that's how I lived my life. I had got a job at Ameritech, and at Ameritech, the phone center, you had a split shift. You work like in the morning from like 8, you get off at like 12, and then you go back to work from 4, then you'll stay until like 8. It was hard to find daycare centers that kept those hours. And so with that being the case, I had to go and find home daycares. Back then, when they used to pay you, if you got daycare through the state, when they used to pay you, they would put both parties' name on a check. And it made sense in a way because of the fact that made sure that, you know, hey, if I watch your kids, I'm gonna get my money. And, you know, if you watch my kids, I'm gonna make sure that you actually do what you're supposed to do because you become the employer, right? Right? Keyword, employer. So as time goes on or whatever, I take the kids to this particular daycare. I don't remember the name of it. All I know is that I had the 3 babies at the time. I had Ariana, Damon, and Dana. And Ariana being the oldest or whatever. Ari isn't a crier. You know, not then. She wasn't a crier. Damon, on the other hand, yeah. So Damon was like a mama's boy. He didn't really like to leave me. So whenever I would leave him, he would cry. So that was normal. But Ari, on the other hand, Ari's forever trying to leave me. And so when she went to daycare, she would start crying, you know, when I got ready to drop her off. And I'm like, what's wrong? You know, and Ari probably like 3 or 4 at this point. So she talks, but, you know, she couldn't really tell me. And she just would cry and hold on to my leg. And she did it twice. The second time, you know, the first time I was like, you know, I'm not sure, maybe because of the fact she's used to being with me. I'm not sure what's going on. But the second time or whatever, I was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do this because of the fact I'm figuring something must be wrong because this little girl don't cry like this. So I take her out and I put her into another daycare center, which is a home daycare center. But the problem with that is that the paperwork for the state, it wouldn't transfer quick enough. So my thoughts, smart me, I'm thinking like, hey, when the check come, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm I'm gonna cash it, and when I cash it, I'm gonna pay old girl her little $20, $30. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a lot. I'm gonna pay her little percentage for the 2-3 days that she had her, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pay this new daycare. But this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put the money in a money order and pay the new daycare, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go to the liquor store and cash it. So I went to a couple liquor stores. I tried to deposit it into my bank. They wasn't going because I just had my signature on it. They was like, you have to have the other person sign it. This lady ain't about to sign this check. At this time, I think the check was probably like $520, something like that, because it was for the whole 2 weeks or a month. I'm not sure how they paid out then, but long story short, she wasn't gonna sign this check unless I was giving her all her money. So I went ahead and I had my best friend's sister. I don't know if I paid this baby or not, but if I didn't, I owe you, girl. But I had her go into the party store and cash it, because this is my thoughts. You're gonna have me on camera, you don't know who she is, and then on top of that, I'm gonna sign Mickey Mouse. So that's what I did. I signed Mickey Mouse on the back of the check, because you know how some people's signatures or whatever, you can't really read it. My thought was, if I just scribbled Mickey Mouse, I'm gonna be good. So that's what I did, and that didn't work out. So what ended up happening was, of course, old girl was mad about her money, and so she, you know, basically went filed a police report. Because the amount was over $500, it was automatically, you know, if it was going to become a case, it was going to be charged as a felony. The officer, the detective, had tried to call me and stuff, but for whatever reason, I'm bad with phones now. I guess I was bad with phones then, and I never, you know, returned the call. And by the time I did, he said it was too late. He was like, this lady had called my supervisor and done da 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 da. So I had no choice but to push it through. And so voila, now you have a warrant. So I'm like 20, maybe 20, 21. So I don't know what my mindset was, but it was like, okay, whatever. So I'm going through life. This particular day, I'm about to leave my house, and the police come to the porch, and I see the lady across the street in her van. And when she comes to the, when she's parked across the street with her family in a van, and the officer walks up on the porch or whatever, he, you know, knocks on the door or whatever. At this time, it's summer because the door was open, so I could see him through the screen door. And so I walk up to the door or whatever. When I walk up to the door, you know, he's talking to me. He's like, well, hey, I got, you know, I got to talk to you about something, da da da. I can't remember. All I know is he asked me for my ID, and I gave him my ID. When I gave him my ID, he said, well, can you step outside? And I'm like, he's like, ma'am, you have a warrant for your arrest. And he said, so I'm going to have to take you in. How you going to take me in at my house? And he basically told me something that I try not to forget. He said, your ignorance of the law is not my problem. Because basically, I didn't have to come outside my house. I didn't have to give him my ID or anything. So voila, I get arrested. And how awesome God is, I didn't even stay in a cell. I actually ended up getting Coney Island. A whole bunch of, because I knew somebody that worked there, and I didn't have to stay in the cell, and I left a couple hours later. But that's how that case came about. And I went to court, and long story short, my public defender, because you know how you hear the stories like, well, public defenders don't know nothing. This man told me, he said, Janay, he said, listen, they're gonna give you 1 year non-reporting probation. If you don't get in any trouble, it'll just come off your record, no problem. What? I didn't do nothing. I put my baby in a daycare. This lady was being mean to my baby. Woo, 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 woo. And I think his name was Mr. Howard, I can't remember, but he looked at me and he said, Janay, you gonna F up your life. He said, you're about to F up your life. But I'm like, no, I'm not. I got my job at Ameritech. I'm about to put down a retainer on a real lawyer. And that's what I did. And my lawyer, it didn't help my situation at all. I ended up getting a year of reporting probation. And voila. Let me tell you something about the law and about people's past and about making poor decisions. As a young adult, you know, you don't realize it, but every decision that you make is gonna follow you, you know, the rest of your life. And this decision, it was like a domino effect as I got older, because of the fact you know how they say you're innocent until proven guilty? When you have a record, you're not. You're guilty until proven innocent. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I really had a hard time. I did not know how hard it would have been having this on my record. It was hard to get a job, at least a good paying job. I had just got married, and, you know, he was military, and, you know, by the time the case had settled and everything or whatever, I had gotten married. And so where the case was supposed to be up under my maiden name, which is Lynch, it ended up becoming up under my married name. And I would have to give this to my ex-husband. His family, they were borderline my version of the Huxtables. Like, they had their family in order. When you call, you know, their house is like, you know, thank you for calling. You called, you know, da-da-da-da house. Real sweet family, lovable family or whatever. But I had just embarrassed them. Here it is, he just married this girl, and this girl catch a case with, you know, their last name. So fast forward up a little bit, back to the point about your record follows you. Not just talking about your jail record, your credibility. If you're a liar, if you're a thief, if you you know, anything, it follows you. You know, that's the jacked up part about being in a fallen world, is that, you know, people don't forget. And when they get an opportunity, they try and remind you constantly of who you were. They can't accept who you have become because they're so stuck on who you are, you know, who you were. So the problem with that is that when moments arise in your life and your integrity is questioned, people don't want to hear what you say. People might not even watch what you do, especially if they know your past. That's all they're going to say, and that's all they're going to see. So let me jump you up a speed. When that case, I did not realize that when I pleaded guilty to that case, because I didn't want to fight it anymore. I got tired and I just wanted to get out of it. When I pleaded guilty to that case, basically I opened up the door for a welfare charge as well, because guess what? The check was a federal check. This is the welfare office. So not only did I get in trouble for forging a state warrant, I got in trouble for misusing state funds. I used it for daycare. If I didn't know what I know now, oh, that second case wouldn't have stuck. Now the first one, that second one, But that's what happened. So now I got 2 felonies on my record. Try getting a job at 20, 21 in Detroit with 2 felonies on your record. Good luck with that. I don't care how smart, how cute, whatever you think you are. It ain't happening. So I can't remember why I lost my job at Ameritech, but I don't think it had nothing to do with this. It probably had something to do with me being late. But whatever the case may be, that's when life got real. That's when I realized that I couldn't get a job. I couldn't do anything. So I was already doing motivational speaking at schools, at high schools for teen moms and stuff or whatever. And I had this program called The Makings of a Woman. And so I was doing that for a while. And then we relocated to Ohio, because me and my husband, we got a divorce. And in between that time period, I had opened up a couple of daycare centers in Southgate and in Michigan. And so after a big bout with depression, you know, I closed down the daycares. I had a thrift store, and I don't know what happened, but all I know is that we lost our house. This was a pivotal moment for Ari. And I honestly don't think my baby bounced back from. But we lived in, you know, at that time, you know, a very, 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 very nice home in a very, very nice area. And as a young mom, you do everything you possibly can to make sure that your kids have a better life than you. And to feel like I failed at that because my marriage didn't last and we lost our house, it was hard. So I basically allowed Ari to stay back because she didn't want to leave her high school. I basically allowed Ari to stay back with her best friend at that time. And it's funny now that I talk about it, but she didn't ask for any money, I don't think. I just knew that, you know, you're not supposed to leave your kid with somebody. And so I was staying with my sister on the other side of town or whatever. And so Ari would go to school with this baby. And at the time, I was getting an unemployment check from my daycare or something. I don't know. But it was $700 a month. and I gave her $100 a week for Ari being there. And so Ari finished up the 8th grade there. No, 6th grade, sixth or 7th grade, whatever. And we moved to Ohio. So we moved to Ohio, and when we moved to Ohio, I'm given, I think, a second chance at life. The kids wasn't too happy about leaving, but I just felt like if I wasn't together, I couldn't help them. So we moved to Ohio. When I moved to Ohio, went through a couple jobs. Long story short, the radio station there, Jams 101.9. I was listening to it, and there was just the DJ at the time. He was just a little, you know, he was young. He was a young guy, and so he talked about young guy stuff. And it was a little bit of sex, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I'm just like, why are y'all talking about this type of stuff during times that kids are being picked up from school? If I didn't have kids, I think I would have been an activist. I would have started the new Black Panther movement, because I'm power for the people. I don't like bullies, all that type of stuff. And so I went to the radio station. And when I went to the radio station, I basically was talking to the general manager, and I was, you know, I think it was the receptionist. I asked, whatever, I filed a complaint. And I was like, hey, you know, I just think it's not cool that they play this, da da da. So the general manager comes out from his office, and he's like, hey, you know, can you go and tell him that? And the DJ at that time, or whatever, I walk into his studio, to his zone, and I'm like, he said, I told him exactly what you told me. And I'm like, well, yeah, the stuff you talk about isn't exactly kid friendly. So I just think maybe you should, you know, watch what you say, because you have a lot of young people that listen. I got hired right on the spot to work at the radio station, and I had to build my way up. I started on Sundays, just doing a Sunday show. I went from doing a Sunday show to doing a Saturday show to doing a weekend show to doing anything I possibly can, to doing commercials. And then finally the position for drive time came up.